The night was thick with the scent of damp earth and rain as Ilara stepped into the heart of the forest. She had always been drawn to these woods ever since she was a child. The village elders warned of creatures, ancient and powerful, who lived deep within, hidden in the shadows. But Ilara, with her restless heart and insatiable curiosity, never believed the tales, at least not until now. Tonight, something felt different. The air crackled with an unfamiliar energy, and every step she took seemed to bring her closer to something that both terrified and thrilled her. The stories had spoken of the Fae, beings of wild, untamable beauty, whose allure was as dangerous as their power. They were said to be creatures of dark desires, whose touch could ensnare the mind and body, binding one to their world forever. As she walked deeper, the trees seemed to shift, their branches twisting unnaturally, forming a path that hadn't existed before. It was as if the forest itself was guiding her, pulling her towards something ancient and forbidden. Her pulse quickened, though she couldn't tell if it was from fear or anticipation. In the clearing ahead, a figure stood bathed in the soft glow of the moon, his back to her. His presence was intoxicating, a blend of raw power and sensuality that made her breath catch in her throat. His skin glowed faintly, as if kissed by moonlight, and his hair shimmered like silver silk. As he turned to face her, Ilara's heart skipped a beat. His eyes were impossibly dark, filled with ancient secrets and the kind of longing that consumed souls. He was Fae. There was no mistaking it. But not like the ones in the stories she had heard. This one radiated a dark, magnetic energy that wrapped around her like invisible threads, pulling her closer. "You've come," he said, his voice a low, melodic whisper that sent a shiver down her spine. I didn't mean to," she stammered, though her body told a different story. She couldn't move, couldn't pull away. Her feet stayed rooted to the ground, her body drawn to him like a moth to flame. He smiled, a slow, knowing curve of his lips. "No one comes here by accident. You've been seeking this, whether you realize it or not." Her throat tightened. She'd always felt as if something was missing from her life, a longing that she couldn't put into words. It was as if he had seen into her soul and unearthed her deepest secret. "What are you?" she whispered. "I am a Fae," he said, stepping closer, his gaze never leaving hers. "But not the gentle kind you might imagine. We are born of the night, of shadows and desires. We feed on what mortals try to hide, their lust, their hunger, their deepest, darkest cravings." Ilara's heart raced, and her body thrummed with an unfamiliar heat. She had never wanted someone, so intensely before. The air between them was thick with tension, the kind that made her skin tingle and her thoughts blur. "You feel it, don't you?" His voice was like a caress, wrapping around her and making her knees weaken. The pull, the longing. She nodded, unable to form words. Every fibre of her being was screaming for him, for his touch, for something she had never experienced before. And yet a small voice in the back of her mind warned her of the danger. The Fae were not human. They played by different rules. They were known to take what they wanted and leave mortals broken in their wake, but the voice was faint, easily drowned out by the raw, aching desire that pulsed through her.